today we are working on prepping our first flower field for our first spring planting, our just before frost planting. And here in Oklahoma, we have the dreaded clay soil, and Oklahoma springs are very, very wet. So the combo together gives us soil that is not little seedling friendly. And so that we're going into our second year here on our flower farm, and we're trying to learn and observe how best to prep our soil for planting, to make planting easier on the seedlings and also faster for us efficiency wise. Because last summer in our clay soil, we tilled it up, we sprinkled some fertilizer, didn't even do compost, and then planted directly into it. And planting the seedlings was really hard. Our soil was clumpy and really uneven, and we had huge deep pockets that when you planted the seedling, it disappeared into the soil. So going into year 2, we wanted to try some different things. And one thing we did in this field is in the fall, we tilled it and then we covered it with a silage tarp so that we tilled when it wasn't the most wet ever in the fall, because our fall wasn't super wet. And then we were turning some of that grass under and killing it, and then we had it covered all winter. Eric in the back uncovered it, tilled it again. That second till was really hard to do because, again, Oklahoma, super, super wet spring and not great to till, especially clay soil, when it is super wet. So that was a lesson learned. We need to do a lot of our fall prep rather than spring prep. But you have to work what you have. We had to get this ground broken up. So we got a bunch of mushroom compost, a huge pile dump truck. 2 dump trucks came of mushroom compost. We're starting with half the field. So right now we're doing 4 rows. We used our tractor to dump the mushroom compost on 4 of our rows, and re-tilled it in so it mixed with our native soil and wasn't just topped with compost. And right now we're using all of our rakes and tools and stuff that we can find to break up the clay clods that have still formed, because tilling isn't going to make it perfectly smooth. So that's what we're working on. That's what Eric's working on. We've got some of the kids out here helping us to really try to get as fine of a soil texture as we can before we lay our drip and landscape fabric down. So I'll be interested to see how this works out for us. I'm hopefully going to be planting out at least 3 or 4 of our 10 rows by this coming Saturday. So I guess for date purposes, that's 6 days. So we need to get working on this, and plants need to get into the ground.
Ooh, so that's what it does. That's cool.
Filming?
Yeah.
But you can't crush and film at the same time.
Oh, I want to crush.
And you can put the camera down once you get a few shots. I'm supposed to be Mr. Soil, and I've been watching a million videos, and everybody's got opinions.
Soil opinions.
Everybody's got different soil. I know that we keep saying we have heavy clay soil, but we don't. We don't have heavy clay here. It's actually a very good sandy clay loam. It's mostly clay. So it's a nice brown, rich soil. It does, though, have clay properties, so there tends to be low spots. And our neighbor, who's been doing a produce farm, I've been seeing his beautiful rows that he's producing outside. We're trying to recreate some of his exemplar by looking at it, by cutting a row to give us a walking path, and then to bring that excess dirt up to get probably about 2 inches extra on each row to give them extra height and fluffiness. And then we sprinkled a lot of compost on top, so there was tilling. Then there was tilling again in the spring with mixing compost in, and then kind of a hand rake, doing it the old manual way for everyone that thinks we're just lazy people with no tractor. So lots of manual labor, and I think the beds are looking pretty great. We're trying to get a level seed bed. Kind of eyeballed this with the tractor when we were rushing between torrential rain. And we got 10-foot rows, or 10 rows here, just as planned. And now we're gonna see if the drip doesn't just fracture on us and spill water.
Oh yeah, the great turning on.
Most people just buy new drip every year. We saved all our drip. We figure 2 to 3 years for it would be a lot better use of plastic than trying to get 1 year out. It's kind of the catch-22 is all the plastic for irrigation, but then higher efficiency irrigation. So let's give the drip a shot and see if it works as expected. New yard hydrant installed in the middle of winter. Manually dug. 4 feet down. Brutal.
We're not gonna need to water for like 2.5 months. Oh, they're getting filled though. See them moving? Now we can look for leaks. Any leaks? Something sounds leaky over here. It's just, see? Yeah, right here, that was last year's leak. Problem number 1. Problem number 2. That was my problem. And this is my problem over here. I caused these problems.
Daddy! Stay away. How come it's not burning the metal?
Having these helpers. Okay, we have done for the day. We got 4 rows. What do you think? A lot of work doing that. We haven't even done 40%.
We only done, wait, how much?
I had to burn a few more 6-inch holes there and there because we're burning through the fabric, and some of it got kind of damaged through the winter. 4 rows set up for her to plant. I think she said snapdragon. Let's see if I get this right. Okay, do snapdragon. That's funny. Snapdragon, Lysianthus, and gladiolus. You'll be proud of me, wife. I remembered.
So this morning we got our plugs shipment from Farmer Bailey's. I had ordered 3 trays of plugs, snapdragons and Lysianthus. Plugs are the little baby plants that Farmer Bailey and greenhouse companies can grow for farmers to help them with their seed starting. And when I open it up here, I'll give you a comparison of the seeds I started versus what a professionally grown greenhouse plug tray looks like. And I'm guessing they are going to look very different. The reason I bought this is Lysianthus is really hard to start from seed, and also I wanted to have a backup tray of snapdragons in case I just totally failed and I didn't want to be without snapdragons. I've done an okay job with my snapdragons, so now I just get the excitement of having a million snapdragons. But let's open this box. I'm nervous because I don't know, we've never done this before. Okay, hopefully, the wind. Now, ideally, they're not a total mess. No. Okay. It's gonna keep them protected, but I also don't want our stuff to fly all around. Okay, here's our first tray. Let's get them all out first without sending stuff into the cow fields. They're so perfectly packed, so they don't really move around a lot, but they're also kind of hard to get out. Okay, tray 2. All right, we got the trays out. This is Lysianthus. I'm going to open up. Look how perfect.
How did they put them in a box?
I know, look. Wowza. I know. Look at how perfect. Let's open the other ones. So this last tray, 2 Lysianthus, which look absolutely perfect, and this tray, which is a snapdragon tray. Look at that. There's 210 snapdragons and maybe even more because I see a lot of doubles in here. But this is absolutely perfect, not a cell empty, all the perfect height. This is why growers, farmers love to grow plugs. So this is what a perfect tray looks like. Let me show you what my tray looks like. So here is my tray of snapdragons, the exact same variety, started in soil blocks on February 20th. And you can see they're not wildly different. They're about the same height, same green and pretty, but look how much more sporadic my germination is and the different sizes. So this guy's really tall like these, but then I've got a little tiny weeny guy over here. I've got one that's just starting to germinate over here. So while these plugs are perfectly fine, I am going to plant them all. I am excited about them. They're going to grow beautifully. There's something just absolutely wonderful and satisfying about getting a perfect tray of plugs. So I'm really excited about this. So I've got these beautiful plugs. These plugs have only lived their entire life in a perfect greenhouse. Perfect watering, fertility, diffuse sunlight, warmth, perfect conditions. The worst thing I can do for them now is to go plant them out in the field where it's a completely different environment. Colder nights, hotter days, harsher sun, wind, all of that. So I need to spend probably 4 or 5 days hardening these guys off, which means I'm going to go put them over here in the sunshine, set a timer for a couple hours, and then bring them back in under grow lights. And each day increase my time over the course of 4 or 5 days to get them ready for the field. Because the worst thing I could do is plant them out and have them all get sun scorched and really unhappy and stunted when you spent a lot more money on plugs than you do with seeds. But they're here, and this is recorded on a Wednesday. I hope on Monday I'm planting all of these out, and we'll make sure to film it.